Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another playoff edition of Big Game Bound. I'm Jack Doles. So glad you tuned in. Championships are on the line this weekend. 2 games, winners punch their ticket to Tampa to play in Super Bowl 55. Coming up on Big Game Bound, Jared Payton joins us from Chicago to preview both games, AFC and NFC, and to talk about the history we'll witness in Tampa on Super Bowl Sunday. We'll also call on our correspondents from all 4 cities that will have a chance to play in the big game. Rob Collins in Kansas City, Josh Allen in Buffalo from the NFC, Burt Griffin in Green Bay, and Dan Lucas in Tampa. We'll start with the insights of Jared Payton. He joins us every week from Chicago. Jared, Tom Brady is headed to his 14th conference championship game. Let that sink in for a second. His teams are 9-4 on that stage. Who do you like, Brady and the Bucs or Rodgers and the Packers in the NFC championship game?
Well, hats off to Tom Brady for being able to have an amazing career, and he's keep going over the age of 40. So you got to love that and respect that. Listen, the Bucs, they figured out a way to be able to get past the Saints, and rightfully so. I mean, it wasn't the shootout that I was probably, and a lot of people were hoping for, but it is what it is. Now you match up against, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. And, Jack, it's just hard for me to bet against Aaron Rodgers right now. He's playing some amazing football, some of the best football I've ever seen him play. He's got a command of the offense, and I just think that every week you and I have this conversation, especially when you're going up against good teams, is can you run the football? We know that the Bucs can find a way to be able to get it done, but I just don't see them being able to score at will like Green Bay is. And so anytime that you go to Lambeau, and for the first time in his career, he's get a chance to have an NFC championship game at Lambeau, I think he's going to show out. I think the Packers are going to take this one.
The Bucs did hand the Packers their worst defeat of the regular season, held Rodgers to 160-yard passing. He threw 2 picks in that game. What impact, if any, will that first game have on this one?
It's rough. As an athlete and playing the game, there's some things that you can take away, but, it's a different game, and you got to be able to break down the film and see what works for you and what didn't work for you. And I think that works for both sides. I think that's what, the Packers are going to look at, what some of the plays on down and distance that didn't work. And, Aaron Rodgers is going to try to figure out how to clean up those mistakes, which he has. I think a little bit it works for Tampa because they can probably on the defensive side see especially how they were getting after Rodgers and making him uncomfortable. But on the flip side as well, I think this is a different Packers team from when they played the time before. And so, it's going to help a little bit, but we're talking about championship weekend, championship Sunday. This is where the best come out to play, and we're going to have 2 on the field in Lambeau with Rodgers and Brady. I just think that it's a different Packers team than they were when the first time they played.
All right, Bills and Chiefs in the AFC. Mahomes knocked out of that game against the Browns with a concussion in the 3rd quarter. Concussions are so unpredictable. Can a guy come back and be 100% the next week, Jarrett? In other words, how concerned should Chiefs fans be?
Well, I think everybody's different, Jack, when it comes to concussions. I think I was having this conversation, with family members, just talking about, how many concussions I had, and some of them, it didn't take me that long to bounce back. And the ones that I had later on in life in the NFL, they took a little bit longer to be able to bounce back. Patrick Mahomes, still a young guy, so he's going to have to go through those protocols to be able to play this weekend, and so it's going to be tough. And Andy Reid said it's not up to him; it's going to be up to him passing all the protocols and all the tests that he needs to. I just think that being young for Patrick Mahomes, I think it plays in his favor just a little bit. But we still know concussions just impact people in different ways. You just never really know, and so if he's able to go on the field, I think Mahomes knows his limits, and that if he's actually going to be on the field, that he is. Maybe not 100%, but he's close to it. But, Jack, at this time of the year, regardless of concussion, just injuries, nobody's going to be 100%. And understanding what you have a chance to be able to hoist that Lombardi trophy, I think that gets everybody juiced up and ready to go to play a game.
Jarrett, there was something magical about the Chiefs' run to that championship last year. Do you sense the same kind of thing happening in Buffalo?
I know Bill's Mafia is hoping that it's magical like that. It's, yeah, you see something different. I don't even know When I looked at the Chiefs team last year, it was all about precision, and the defense stepped up when they needed to. There's something different about this Bills squad. I mean, these guys truly look like they love each other, they play for each other, and, just how they have each other's backs. And I think that's what's special is that, you get to this point of the year, if you're lucky enough to be one of those teams that survive, you get here and you got a shot now. And so I look at this Bills team, they got a lot of swagger to them. Their backs aren't up against the wall, and, people maybe aren't giving them the credit, especially when you're going up against the defending champs. I mean, more pressure's on KC to get this thing and take it to the next level. But for them, they can go out and play freely. And, yeah, they're going to be a little bit tight early on, but if they can find a way to be able to, like I say, keep Patrick Mahomes off the field if he's going to play, and that's running the football, taking advantage of different opportunities and putting points on the board, it's going to give them a chance. But, when you're going up against KC, it's always a shootout. So you got to be able to score at will like they can.
Let's put you on the spot. Who wins the AFC?
I am going with Kansas City if Mahomes is healthy. He's phenomenal. I just look at his game and seeing how he has changed even from last year to this year, and how he is, adapting to the game. And just like the great quarterbacks that have been playing, in the playoffs that we've seen, the Brady, Breeze, and these guys have seen so many looks and that they understand what's coming next. And I think that's what we're seeing out of Patrick Mahomes as well. Like, he's just getting acclimated to a game where he is in control. And when you're a great quarterback and you're in control and you have a lot of different weapons, anything's possible. It's hard to stop those guys. That's why every single, organization is searching and searching for a guy like Patrick Mahomes.
Throw one more question at you here, Jarrett, before we let you go. The NFL named its officiating crew. Sarah Thomas has been named the down judge. How big of a deal is this?
I think it's huge. Growing up, even playing high school football, there were no women that were, refs or on the sidelines. And so just to be able to see that everything is changing, and you love to see change. And I think it's what we need. And, even down the line, Jack, I want to see a woman head coach. I want to see more women coaching in the NFL as well. It's better for the game. And it's just because, guys play this game, you look at the women around the world who love the game of football, who study the game of football, who are passionate about the game of football. To me, we have to. I mean, I looked at the numbers of just seeing about jersey sales and T-shirts being sold. Women are buying those products, and they're loving the game of football, and so it's only right. So congratulations to her, and I like to see more women in the game of football as well.
First game of the weekend kicks off at 3:05 Sunday on Fox. Two of the greatest quarterbacks ever to play the game, Tom Brady for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They pay a visit to Lambeau Field to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Brooke Griffin is our Packers correspondent. We'll start with him. By Green Bay in January standards, last week must have felt like you guys were in Tampa. Will the elements be more of a factor this Sunday?
Well, Jack, at this point, it'll be a little bit colder. The forecast is in the 20-degree range, somewhere between 21 and 25. So roughly 10 degrees cooler at Lambeau Field. And there is the possibility of some snow flurries starting Saturday night, going through Sunday. So it'll have that snow globe feel that everyone likes to see on the TV screen when it comes to Lambeau Field.
All right, I know this is team versus team, but do you just get the sense that Aaron Rodgers is a little more juiced up for this one because it's Tom Brady on the other side?
Yeah, right now nobody's saying anything publicly because of those two guys, and there isn't really a rivalry between each Aaron and Tom because they don't actually play against each other. But the debate is always there as to greatest of all time. Who's the GOAT? Is it Tom Brady because he's got the most rings of any quarterback? Is it Aaron Rodgers because he's the most accurate passer in NFL history? Now, this game will go a long way for both of their legacies because if Brady can get the job done, well, then he's got a Lombardi trophy without Bill Belichick in his back pocket. If Rodgers wins a second championship and a likely third MVP, then he goes from just being a top 10 quarterback all time to arguably the best top 3 or 4 in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, Mount Rushmore for sure. Rodgers had his worst game of the season against Tampa in the regular season. What do the Bucs do? How does Green Bay avoid that same fate on Sunday?
You know, they've talked about it quite a bit. I mean, the Buccaneers played fast, and they did something that nobody else has done this season. They picked off Aaron Rodgers twice. Now, one of those passes was tipped, and he hasn't given up that many in a single game in over a couple of years. And he's rarely thrown a pick six, which we saw back in October in Week 6. So there's quite a few things that will change in this game. And they need to really get that running game going because they never established a ground attack in that 38-10 beatdown by the Buccaneers earlier this season.
Burke, what have you been more impressed by in the past month or so, the Packers' offense or their defense? They've been downright stingy 4 straight games, allowing fewer than 20 points.
Yeah, look, everybody's been able to run the football on Green Bay. That's been their bane of their existence for I don't know how long, and especially last season when San Francisco did it twice, including that NFC Championship game, basically at will. They couldn't stop anybody. Now, this team, somewhere around the Eagles game, the switch went on, and I know the defense has been playing better against the run, but they've been getting more pressure on the quarterback. And some of the star players, apparently Zadarius Smith and a couple of other folks, approached defensive coordinator Mike Pettin and said, look, we're not doing it the way we should. You were getting too cutesy here, too many stunts, too many zone blitzes. Let us get our best 4 out there, pin our ears back, get after the quarterback. And that's been one of the biggest things. And look, the emergence of Jair Alexander at corner as a lockdown cover guy has been amazing for this defense.
Green Bay has the moniker Title Town. How special is it in that city when the Packers are playing football in mid to late January?
You know, it's been pretty special the past couple of years because they missed out on the postseason, 2017, 2018. It's been great because the atmosphere has been awesome, but they're the talk of the town all year long because that's really all we have up here, Jack, is the Green Bay Packers. Last week was the most special because there were 9,000 fans total in the stands. And anybody who's been there over the years, when you've got 80,000 screaming fans, it's awesome. But those 9,000 were apparently super loud and proud, so it would have been like a small town college football game or even maybe a big high school game down in Texas or Florida. But the coronavirus has really changed things because if you're a Packers fan, you plan your whole weekend around it. You get here on Friday night and you don't leave till Sunday. All the bars and restaurants, they have concerts and bands playing, and the Titletown Stadium District is completely packed. Right now, a lot of those bars and restaurants are half capacity. The hotels are simply empty. But it's always awesome to be talking playoff football here in Green Bay.
For the Bucs side of this matchup, we take you to Tampa. Say hello to our Bucs correspondent, Dan Lucas. Dan, the Bucs are 1 victory away from becoming the first team to get to play a Super Bowl in their hometown. Is that city ready to elect Tom Brady mayor yet?
Well, if they weren't going to elect a mayor before this past Sunday, they are now, because I don't think a lot of fans, they'll tell you what they want, but I think a lot of folks thought the party was going to be over in New Orleans, and I'm one of them. I didn't really give the Bucs. I gave them a chance in this game, but I thought the Saints had too much, and in the end, the Bucs were the better team, caught all the breaks, forced the turnovers, and deserved to win the game. Here they are.
Yeah, here they are. They have to win 3 road games to get that chance to play at home. How have they handled the road so well?
Well, Bruce Arians has said, this is a different year because of the pandemic and venues. Some of them are completely empty. Some of them have limited fans in them. And as far as facing that climate, it's really not a factor. You could hear Tom Brady, even with just under 4,000 fans in the Superdome the other day, you could hear him calling signals, and that shouldn't happen in the Superdome. It should be that deafening. And it'll be the same thing in Lambeau Field. I believe there's some fans allowed inside there. What's going to get the Bucs are the weather conditions, and they're not so concerned about the cold. They're concerned if there's wind and maybe snow, if there's a chance of snow on game day.
We've seen Brady handle conditions in the past. Brady versus Rodgers, 2 GOATs on the same field. Who has more pressure, the quarterbacks or the defenses in this NFC Championship game?
Well, I think the pressure, there's a little bit of redemption for Aaron Rodgers in this game because when they played the Bucs earlier this season in Tampa, it was one of his worst performances, and the Bucs defense dominated. And I would have to imagine that the Bucs are going to try and be just as aggressive as they were back in October You know how this league is. Things change and over months. Both teams are different than they were back in October, but that was the formula to get to Aaron Rodgers. So they're going to have to make something happen. But, you know, when it was Brady versus Breeze, the defense stole the show. So if this is going to be a Brady versus Rodgers game, I think it's on the defenses to make a difference. And the Bucs defense right now is playing with a ton of confidence.
Yeah, the defense did make Breeze look pedestrian, did the same thing to Rodgers in the regular season. Which players will shoulder the biggest load against Rodgers?
Well, linebacker Devin White, who came back, he was on the reserved COVID-19 list, so that was his first game back this past Sunday against the Saints. And I'm telling you, I've seen him play with energy and passion before, but this guy looked like an animal unleashed. And that's really good news for the Bucs. So I think Devin White, number 45, is going to have an impact on this game. And you know what? The young defensive backs who have had a roller coaster year, up and down performances against the Saints, they were fantastic. And there's a couple of guys banged up, Sean Murphy-Bunting and Carlton Davis, but they made big plays against the Saints. So if they're back, all hands on deck, it's on those guys to really create some problems for Aaron Rodgers, not give him the time, and those receivers get into those routes. They can make a difference in the game as well. But Devin White, I think, is going to be the heart and blood of the Bucs defense Sunday.
Yeah, he was pretty amazing in that game. Antonio Brown looked a little hobbled. You saw him working on his knee on the sideline. How's the health of this receiving core going into the biggest game of the year?
Well, Brown had an MRI at the beginning of the week. So we're like everybody else. We're just kind of waiting to see what the results say and then how the practice week goes. If he's able to go, unless they announce or we hear something structurally as an issue, you know, he'll go through the practice week before they determine his status. And remember, Wednesday is always kind of a walkthrough day. Thursday, they kind of get after it more. Thursday is always the real indicator for what's going to happen in a game on Sunday. But without Antonio Brown, this right now is still a deep and talented group. And you're putting guys in like Scotty Miller and a rookie, Tyler Johnson, who made an unbelievable catch, a key first down catch for the Bucs the other day. Both of those guys came in after Brown left the game. So with Mike Evans getting healthier and better, and Chris Godwin and all those tight ends, they're in pretty good shape. But boy, Antonio Brown stretches a defense. It makes everybody's life easier. They could sure use him for sure against the Packers.
The second game of the night takes place at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. The defending Super Bowl champs host the Buffalo Bills. We'll start with the host team. Rob Collins joins us from Kansas City. Rob, I'm guessing the conversation that's dominating every sports talk show in KC here this week is Patrick Mahomes. How's he doing? Any chance he'll play?
Yeah, that's what every single person is talking about, Jack. What's Patrick Mahomes doing right now? It's a bigger talk about than when someone shot JR. A reference you and I will know. The millennials can look that up. But Patrick Mahomes did practice Wednesday in a limited capacity in accordance with the concussion protocol. Coach Reed said he felt good in doing so. But it's important to remember here, guys, that the Chiefs haven't officially said Mahomes had a concussion. The thinking with doctors around here is that Mahomes suffered a brachial stun, kind of like a martial arts chop to the neck. So as of Wednesday, Mahomes is symptom-free, trending toward playing. But later in the week, Thursday, the big practice day, we'll know more by Friday for sure. But it looks like Mahomes is going to take the field.
Can they win if it's Chad Henne at quarterback?
It's going to be pretty tough. Chad Henne is going to have to play the game of his life, and the Chiefs defense will have to play mistake-free. Now, the organization certainly has confidence in Henne after last week's Henne heroics, but having 4 under center, a world of difference in 15. Every single person knows that, especially when the plays break down. Henne has a good grasp of the offense. He'll be fine there. But you won't see Henne roll out like Mahomes. You won't see that unscripted Mahomes magic. You know, Henne won't be running to his left and then throwing frozen ropes across his body or doing those sidearm slingers in small windows. That's not going to happen if Chad Henne's in there. But if he is, the team believes that he can handle it, and they'll play hard for him for sure.
All right, Rob, if that game was 5 quarters, I'm not sure the Chiefs survive against the Browns, but it's not. And Andy Reid, with a backup quarterback on 4th and 1 from midfield, with a 5-point lead, calls a pass play. What were you thinking when they snapped that ball and Henne started rolling right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said some non-friendly church words before, during, and after that play, man. That was crazy. Like everyone thought. I thought they were just trying to draw them off sides, you know, to punt, pin the Browns deep. But Riverboat Andy, man, squashed that old conservative play call narrative that he used to have. Call for the ages, man. It was frighteningly beautiful to watch Chad Henne roll out and hit the cheetah to secure a spot in the AFC Championship game. That play is beautiful. They're going to be talking about that for a long time. No one here in Chiefs Kingdom is going to forget that anytime soon.
Oh, I see what you did there. All right, when the Chiefs beat the Bills in Week 6, Clyde Edwards-Helaire had his best game, 161 yards rushing. What's his status?
Yeah, like Mahomes, CEH practiced on Wednesday, but again, Thursday and Friday will give us a better tell. But he is progressing to play, so that is a good sign. And we know that running game was huge back in October against the Bills. You remember the Bills' strategy in that game in October was keep two high safety back and not get beat by the deep ball. And the Chiefs certainly took advantage of the old dink and dunk. 46 rushing attempts, 245 yards. Honestly, I don't think Sean McDermott expected the Chiefs to be that successful on the ground. So I expect a little different tact on Sunday. But definitely the Chiefs will try to run the ball for sure. It's kind of weird to say, but to keep it out of Josh Allen's hands, kind of like teams try to keep it out of Patrick Mahomes' hands.
Yeah, Josh Allen is healthy. He will play, and he's been playing great. How do the Chiefs keep him from beating them?
Yeah, like we saw last week, man, the Bills are not afraid to let her fly. Only 2 runs in the first half against Baltimore. It's mostly because Baltimore's bruising front seven is pretty good. And, you know, why run up against the wall like that if you're not going to go anywhere, right? I expect a little more balance. Sunday, you know, the Bills lead the NFL in 4 wide sets, so the Chiefs may have a similar defensive position. Again, as I said, his teams have planned against Patrick Mahomes. Don't get beat deep. Spy Allen to curtail his running, because really, he's only the running back that you fear in that offense, and he's definitely the biggest running threat the Bills have. Moss and Singletary back in October only gained 42 yards. So the Chiefs didn't sack Allen either in that game. I don't necessarily think they need to put him on the ground a few times, but as we saw in October, you pressure him, you disrupt his timing, move his feet around, they'll probably try to keep him off balance. But I think if the Chiefs curtail Josh Allen, whether it be Patrick Mahomes or Chad Henne, pretty good shot that they're going to take this game.
Last thing, Rob, when this head coaching cycle began, it seemed like Eric Bieniemy was a lock to get one of these 7 vacancies. How in the world is he still sitting there?
That's a question that I can't answer. I have no idea. He certainly has the credentials. He has the chutzpah, if you will. He can lead men. So I'm not sure what all of these other GMs are thinking. And now that he's going to be interviewed for the Houston Texans job, I'm not sure that that's a job Eric Bieniemy wants, because that is a train wreck, a dumpster fire, and whatever else you want to call it down there in Houston. So it sounds weird to say, but with the 2 remaining jobs, Bieniemy may be better suited to stay where he is right now, to be the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs, because you know what you have, you know they're going to be successful, and we know when minority head coaches get the job, they sometimes have a short lease. So wherever Bieniemy goes, he's going to have to go somewhere where he's successful, so he has a chance at longevity. So it may be next year's cycle, which is a travesty.
Josh Reed is our Bills correspondent. He joins us from Buffalo. Josh, I know the number of fans was limited, but I heard them all the way from Grand Rapids. You guys are 1 win away from returning to the Super Bowl. How hungry is the city of Buffalo for a winner?
Starving. I mean, you know, they just keep waiting for something good to happen. Of course, we all know that they made the Super Bowl for 4 straight years back in the Jim Kelly era and came up empty-handed on all 4 of those trips. The Bills have played in the AFC title game 5 times. Their record is 4-1. So when they get there, they've been successful. Now, granted, none of those players are on the field this Sunday. But yeah, this city, it needs one. And it's funny because, you know, for a fan base that's had a lot just kind of ripped away from them, man, are they loyal. They are, as you mentioned, 6,700 fans at the game last Saturday, and they were loud and they made a big impact.
Now, the Bills held Baltimore to just 3 points. This was an offense-happy league in the regular season, but only 2 teams hit the 30-point mark in the divisional round. Are the Bills positioned to win this game and perhaps another because of this defense? Yeah,
the defense has played much better the second half of the season. The offense carried them in the first half of the year, but the defense has played much better second half of the season. Obviously, like you just said, gave up 3 points to Lamar Jackson and a Ravens offense that had been playing pretty well down the stretch of the season. Yeah, I mean, they're very opportunistic. They do a good job of, we saw it. Taron Johnson gets an interception in the end zone, races 101 yards for a touchdown. They do a good job at times of getting pressure on the quarterback. And at the end of the day, they've got a lot of players with experience on that side of the ball. The guys like Jerry Hughes, the longest tenured Bills player at defensive end. He had 2 sacks against the Ravens, and this is the type of player that loves the spotlight. Jerry Hughes, 5 sacks in his last 3 postseason games. And they're going to need him to make some big plays against the Chiefs.
All right, so Vegas gives the Chiefs a 61% chance to win if Mahomes plays. 32% chance if they have to start Henne. How closely are you guys following the concussion news of Mahomes, and will it make any difference in the way this team prepares for the Chiefs?
Yeah, it's Mahomes Watch 2021 right now. I mean, I feel like I'm checking my phone and checking the internet and checking anything I can and have to get the latest injury update and status on Patrick Mahomes. It's like any team with a superstar quarterback. I mean, when you have them, you have the ability to beat anybody. And when you don't, you have the ability to lose to anybody. So, yeah, obviously we're monitoring Patrick Mahomes' status for Sunday every minute that we can. I think the Bills have a chance to pull this out. I mean, they're a team, like I mentioned, of veterans who just they'll go toe-to-toe with anybody. And Josh Allen's going to be the key in this one, though.
All right, Bill, you probably just answered my question. No, Mahomes or no Mahomes, who is the most important on the player on the field for the Bills on Sunday?
Yeah, jump the gun on you. I mean, it's Josh Allen. I mean, look, they have found a way to win the first 2 playoff games without the offense being as explosive as we've seen through the season. I mean, Josh Allen, MVP candidate. And the offense just kind of been good enough to win. But quite frankly, the Bills roster and the coaching staff is better than the first 2 teams they played. A little different scenario in the AFC Championship game. You're going up against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. This is the type of team that you can't make mistakes. You know, the margin of error is really thin. And Josh Allen, he needs to revert back to the Josh Allen that we saw basically all of this past season that made him an MVP candidate. I mean, he is the guy to watch. As Josh Allen goes, so go the Bills.
4 great quarterbacks, 2 great games. I cannot wait till Sunday. We're out of time on Big Game Bound. A big thanks to our guests, Jarrett Payton, Burt Griffin, Rob Collins, Josh Reed, and Dan Lucas. We'll be back same place, same time next week to preview the Super Bowl. And then starting Monday, February 1, Big Game Bound will be live from Tampa every day during Super Bowl week with big guests and great conversation leading up to the big game. For Spencer Wheelock and our crew here in Grand Rapids, I'm Jack Doles. Enjoy the conference championship games on Sunday.